Financial planning for nephrologists is the next session. May I please request on stage Dr. Urmila Anand ma'am and Dr. Mastaqim Ahmed. And for this very important talk, I'll call upon Dr. Rushil Dedhia, sir.
So hi, good evening everybody. First of all, I'm not a doctor. Probably that's why I have a bigger smile than most of you guys in the room, it seems. But I'm given a little hard task, I believe, because this is almost the last session before dinner. So I think everybody has half their minds over there. And I know we're talking about finance, so पहले से ही काफ़ी thoughts आ गए रहेंगे, अरे यार अभी तो ये ज्ञान देंगे, ये करना है, वो करना है, long term सोचना है, etc. So, and मैं कोई बड़ा experience आदमी नहीं हूँ. I'm myself 33, so it's not like I have some tons of experience and I'm coming here to speak in front of you. But being in the field of finance and coming from a family of doctors, at least I've gone through certain experiences, thankfully very early in my career, good and bad, which is what I'll try and share something with you. And I know you guys have all gone through the generic gyan. Everybody's doing some sort of investment. Somebody's doing an SIP. Somebody has zero the account. किसी के चाचा मामा ही broker है ये वो. I know everything everybody has done. I'm just going to talk about certain learnings and mistakes which I have done. I think hopefully if you guys relate to it, if you guys can learn from it, or if you have some questions on it, whatever, let's keep it free flowing. I don't have anything. There's nothing complicated here. There's no financial jargons, because I believe the field that I'm in, personal finance, of financial planning, it's really more logical. And I'm actually an engineer and I'm in this field, so you know, मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा हूँ related to my field today, right? So, and I'll tell you what we do. I think a lot of people, first of all, have confusion. Okay, what is this business? तुम जो कर रहे हो है क्या? So, just like you guys are health managers of sorts, right? आप diagnose करते हो patient को, उसकी history लेते हो, उसकी परेशानी समझते हो, and then you come to a conclusion. अच्छा, this is the treatment, this is the course of medicine, blah blah blah. We do exactly the same for wealth. हम समझते हैं इसकी प्रॉब्लम क्या है, इसकी हिस्ट्री क्या है, फैमिली के लाइबिलिटीज़ क्या है, इसके फाइनेंशियल गोल्स क्या है, राइट? एंड देन वी कम अप विद अ फाइनेंशियल प्लान एंड देन वी हेल्प देम, we manage that entire part for them. So in a way, that's what we do. You all are health managers, we are wealth managers. It's really, that's about it. And that's what me and my company does. Right? And I think the most basic question that everybody talks about who's got the highest return and which is the best place to invest, which is the next multi-bagger and all that. But I've realized most people don't know only what to do with money. What is the purpose? आपको करना क्या है wealth का? आपको 10 करोड़ मिलेगा, 8 करोड़ मिलेगा, 50 करोड़ मिलेगा. आपको करना क्या है पैसों का यार? At the end of the day, right? There are certain goals that you want to achieve. Financial goals, of course. I'm talking purely on financial terms at the moment. घर में शादी है, नया घर लेना है, आपको it could be something as generic as मुझे हर साल 2 बार abroad घूमना है. When I ask people, यार, what is the purpose of your money? Forget what I'll do for you, which is the investment options, ये वो. What is the purpose of money? Nobody has a clear answer. नहीं, बस पैसा कमाना है, करना है, घूमेंगे, खाएंगे, पिएंगे. But there is no conclusive answer. कि बस, you know, what am I doing with? What do you want to do with the money? Right. So anyway, let me just quickly start. I know we are short on time, so just a parody on. You know, there's a very popular book, 7 Habits of Effective People. I've just got copy pasted and put it for mistakes and learnings for investing. And the whole theme of this was, you know, भाई कर क्या रहे हो? Just pause and reflect. Everybody is in such a race. ये लेना है, वो लेना है, उसने ये बोला, वो कर दो. And people think somebody who's doing a lot of action, somebody who's fully involved in the stock markets is the guy who's making the most money. But I've seen completely the opposite in real life, right? So I'll just come to the first, and we'll try and cover 7 parts, but agar nahi hota hai, at least I'll cover the main parts today, right? Personal finance. More personal, less finance, right? Everybody's focus is on the mathematical part of it, but it is actually the qualitative, the softer part of it, which you cannot quantify, which is a much bigger part of personal finance, I believe, right? And I feel in our field, for sure, in our own, my own colleagues, and sometimes, unfortunately, everybody's in a race, right? There are comparisons of, you know, who's got the better return, which is the best product out there, like I was saying earlier. But we forget to ask the basic question, yeah, is जिसको मैं पूछ रहा हूँ या जिससे मैं सलाह ले रहा हूँ, is his goal or is his motive aligned with my motive? Will he really give me the right advice at the end of the day or not? So what is this comparison on what basis, right? Like I said, हर घर अलग, हर couple की problems अलग, हर family की liabilities अलग. So on what basis are you comparing? So there are all kinds of asset classes. You have fixed income se leke, you have everything from up to startup investing and private equity. In this entire range of risk is what we call. There are all kinds of products under the sun. So different asset classes carry different risks. So there are people who invest for 100 years. You'll actually be shocked. There are actually companies, not so commonly known in India, but outside, especially endowment funds and all these guys, they invest for 100 years. They actually take a call. क्या ये धंधा 100 साल तक रहेगा तो मैं आज invest करूँ कि नहीं? There are companies which invest for 50 years. There are insurance companies or sovereign wealth funds, which are basically funds owned by the governments of large countries. So countries like a lot of countries in the GCC, Middle East, or Norwegian Wealth Fund, all etc. They actually take such long views. There are companies in Japan, for example, they actually invest for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And then of course, then there are companies, over here, the family offices, there'll be mutual funds which will take a 10-year view, or it could be portfolio management services. There are people who invest for 5 years, conventional retail investors who believe that is an ideal time, at least that's the horizon you should have. There are people who invest for 1 year, there are people who invest for 1 hour, and there are people who invest for till the end of the day. Abhi, is pure duration, man, you will have everybody who's only doing two things, buying or selling, right? Ultimately, but the larger money actually made is something in between. But point being here, if you depends on who you ask at the end of the day. If you're asking a 100-year vision wala guy कि मैं क्या करूँ, तो he'll have a completely different answer to somebody who's investing for 1 year or for a month or whatever it is, right? So sub action तो वही कर रहे हैं. Either you're investing or either you're redeeming. But point is you have to make sure that whoever that you ask has the right intention, has the right motive, or is aligned with your thoughts when you're asking him that question. Now, quickly going to your school, let's go back to school. This is something which was taught to us in 9th standard. Everybody has conveniently and or probably ignorantly forgotten about this formula, right? Compound interest ka ye formula hai. Now look at this formula very carefully. It might, obviously this might be taking you back to your proper 9th standard school days. ये simple formula है, but हम लोग पूछते क्या है सब लोग को? Everybody asks the same question. कितना मिलेगा, right? And we are obsessed with this question. Everybody has the same question. But can you really control this? So look at this formula again, right? What is P? P is your principal. आप कितना invest कर रहे हो? T is your time. R is your rate of return. इन तीन चीजों में से what can you actually control? You can control T to a large extent, unless it's an emergency and all that. But let's assume to a large extent you control T. You can control P? Yes. Everybody's making money, right? So just saying, how much do you save is more or less in your control. कितना फिजूल का खर्चा है, कितना खर्चा ज़रूरी है to manage or take care of your lifestyle. You can control P, right? It's your savings. Only if you save, you invest, right? So everybody is still in this race, but return कितना मिलेगा is what everybody will ask. So simple point being, control the controllable. There is no person on planet Earth who can, and this is, I'm obviously not talking about your guaranteed fixed income stuff, because that is something which is predictable, but you have a limitation over there. Because risk and return is always hand in hand, right? There's no one without the other. No matter whatever anybody says on planet Earth, there is a reason why SBI pays you 7%, and there's a reason why a cooperative bank will pay you 10%. If you don't see the risk, there is something wrong in your perception. It is not something else, right? So risk and return is always hand in hand. That doesn't mean you go to one extreme or the other extreme. The idea is obviously to find the right balance. So point being is control the controllable. No matter whatever that you say, and everybody has aspiration to earn more, right? Nobody is only going to do FDs in today's world of time because you're losing money in real time. But आपको अगर return चाहिए तो risk तो लेना पड़ेगा. अभी कितना risk लेंगे, क्या लेंगे? That's a whole new discussion that you ought to have and spend a lot of time on to come to a conclusion. But simple point being is control the controllable. You can control P and you can control T, which is, these are the strongest tools that you actually have at your disposal. And I'll show you how. I hope the Excel works. I'm not sure. Anyway. Hold on. I hope it is clear at the back if you guys can see. Right? Anyway. So, take this simple example, right, that I've put in front of you. 100 रुपया महीने का 10% आपको कमाना है और 10 साल है, right? Simple numbers. Now, in a normal case, if I do a monthly investment of $100, this is only mathematics. This is not a comment or a advice on any particular stock or fund or anything like that. This is purely maths, right? If I invest $100 every month, 10 years, 10%, you come to 20,600 ke aspas. That's the number that you come to. Now I'll give you two options, right? Either you double principal, time, or rate, any one of the three. Which will be the best choice and which will be the worst choice? Okay? And I know this is going to be hard to calculate mentally. I just want, okay, what do you think will be the better choice? That I don't want the number. So, obviously, time, right? You saw the formula. Again, go back to the formula. Please don't forget the formula, right? It's raised to t. The exponentiality is coming from time. So, okay, so I can't, unfortunately, I'm not able to edit this. So I'll just say it orally. So if I double the time, if 10 ka 20 saal ho gaya, so that number goes to 72,000 approximately. Okay, now comes the question that I'll really want somebody to come up with the right answer. What is the second best choice? Should I double the rate of return? Matlab double the return. Har saal ka average return goes 2x. So 10 ka 20%. Or should I increase my savings and do 100 ka 200? So principal double or time or rate double? Which do you think is a better answer? Or which will be a better one? Rate? Okay. So I'll tell you one of the answers. Maybe, hopefully you get a better idea. So if I double the rate, then your answer is 38,000 rupees. Approximately, again, these are approximate numbers. So, 10 ka 20% kar diya, at 110 years, it's 38,000. Do you know what will be the answer if you just increase the principal, 100 to 200, and keep everything else the same? Actually, the principal is better. It's 41,000. So again, go back to what I said, right? Control the controllable. हमारा focus क्या है? Return किधर ज़्यादा आएगा? Return किधर ज़्यादा आएगा? आप सिर्फ अपना savings पे control करो, आप time पे control करो. Automatically, even though you might not get the best return, you will still make more money than anybody else out there, right? And here is where the context lies. And simple things which I've observed in my day-to-day life, for example. We all go out on weekends. We all spend with family, friends, At least when I was younger, I realized, whenever you go out with the college friends especially, you get carried away. When you're out, going for a couple of drinks and you're out spending money, going for movies, I realized if I just saved money and did nothing, and I just invested, and this I'm not saying कि I live like a sadhu, sab band kar do, aise kar do. You live your life, there's no question about it, but introspect, यार, मतलब कहना, could I, मैं 2 dinner के बोले 1 dinner कर सकता था, या मैं 3 बार बाहर जाके खाना क्या 2 बार कर सकता था कि नहीं? Still do your socials, do everything that you want, have a good life, but so small changes like this, why don't you improvise on your own lifestyle? It could be something as simple as a dinner, is वो तो मेरा example है, but something as simple as that, right? So one is to obviously save efficiently, one is to earn more. There are only 2 ways of increasing your net savings at the end of the day. So try to improvise just some basic things that you can control. And of course, time is something that I'm sure that you guys can control, because as a professional, as a medical professional, I know you have a running income which comes in and a running expense which is also there. As you get senior, as more cases come through, as you, with inflation, you increase your fees, you should be able to increase your monthly investments, for example. So simple things like these, which actually will go a much longer way rather than you chasing the best return, because nobody on earth can guarantee you, or nobody on earth can promise you that, right? So that's just one simple example. Now this is where I will try and show you how the other example works, right? Let's assume there are these 2 guys. One is this really smart fellow, he kills it. He gets a 15% return, and this is over 10 years. Let's assume both are investing for 10 years, right? So Rajesh does it for 10 years, but he's picking the best equity fund, like he's a genius. Or uska friend, he only gets a measly 8% return, right? Almost like an FD. Okay, almost double the, एक का दूसरे से 2 गुना, almost 2 गुना का फर्क है. But ये एक चीज़ सुमित ये करता है यार, मेरी इनकम हर साल बढ़ रही है, मैं उतना स्मार्ट तो नहीं हूँ, पर मैं मेरी सेविंग्स तो बढ़ा सकता हूँ, right? With inflation, I'll increase my investment by 10%. Again, sorry, but I can't edit the Excel over here. So, who do you think makes more money? Yeah, thoda obvious na, because the way I'm asking, the fact that I'm asking means that Sumit will make more money. But do you know by how much? So, this guy, Rajesh, despite being the best guy out there, he gets the highest return in his friend circle. ends up at 27 lakhs because, again, he makes 27.5 lakhs ke aaspas. Sumit is at almost 29 lakhs, despite being one of the worst guys in terms of rate of return that he's achieved. Purely by habit of saving. He's done nothing, he's not done anything extraordinary. He's just saved efficiently, that's all. So, one example was of time, which I told you. Now the second example I wanted to show you is just by efficiently saving, how do you enhance your wealth creation journey? Okay. Now another example. Let's assume there are two young nephrologists and they're starting their career together. 25 साल के हैं. शायद nephrologist नहीं बन सकते 25 साल में. I know in today's day, but let's assume they are doctors. चलो, sorry about that. But one guy just starts investing. चलो 10,000 है, मेरी income तो आ गई. छोटा मोटा residency में. I'll start before that. This guy says नहीं, let me establish myself. अभी बहुत खर्चा है, ये है, वो है. मैं 2 गुना SIP करूँगा, लेकिन 10 साल के बाद करूँगा. Right? So he says मैं वेट करता हूँ. इसने स्टार्ट कर दिया और कुछ भी नहीं किया. और दोनों बैचमेट्स है, तो they turn at the age of 50. Who do you think makes more money? I've put some basic stuff over here. So this guy's put almost 30 lakhs over the course of 25 years. 25 साल की उम्र से start किया up to 50. This guy started at the age of 35, but he's doubled his investment. So he's actually put more money, by the way. So throughout his 15-year journey of investment, which is Sajeev. So he's put 36 lakhs. So again, it'll be a little obvious why am I asking this question. Who do you think makes more money? Sajeev. But you know by how much? Now this is a little baffling question. The difference is almost by 1 crore. This guy is at 2 crore, this guy is at 1.9, so almost 2 crore. So look at the difference. This guy, Sahil, is one who started early. So it is not just about increasing savings or putting more money, and more money only brings more money. Time obviously has its own credentials, which is why the exponentiality works in your favor, right? The earlier you start, the better it is. So simple, it's also a game of time, and time is the biggest differentiator, like you saw in the formula that I told you. No matter what it is, no matter what you can afford, even if it's a 1,000 rupee SIP, you should start it. We do SIPs for our own house help at home, for example. And we've urged them to start early. So when their kids go to school and they start finding a job, we support them. Chal, tu start to kar, we'll support you on half the amount or whatever it is. If at that level they can start, they'll see a big difference in their lives 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line. So medical professional, being medical professionals, you guys I'm sure will have a much better condition and much better amounts that you can start with, right? So starting early has its own perks. Right. So moving to the next. Now this is something which I see on the biggest condition or the biggest issue pertaining to most investors is this, in my opinion, right? Recency bias and action bias. जो अभी चल रहा है या जो अभी हो चुका है in the recent past, वही सब fresh है. वो ऊपर उसके पहले का सब भूल जाते हैं, right? अभी if you ask anybody, they'll think stock market is the best place to invest, right? उसके सिवा तो पैसा बनता ही नहीं है. And the same was completely absent in COVID. Everybody had forgotten. सब गालियाँ देने लगे थे into the stock markets and all of that. How does this happen, right? So the last line, I'm not sure if everybody can see. This is the ultimate truth in our field, in the field of investment in general. Prices drive narratives, and sometimes ulta, narratives also drive prices. जो अच्छा है उसको सब सच धज के टॉप हेडलाइंस में आके 4 एक्सपर्ट्स को बुला के टीवी में बुमा बम करके सब बिक जाएगा. अच्छे टाइम में कोई नहीं पूछता है. Nobody cares. As long as money is made, everything is good under the sun. And the reverse is also true. When things are very, very bad, it's completely the reverse as well. So I'll tell you how this is. So our mind is a very funny thing, right? So imperfections of the forces in the market or the forces in the world of finance, and the imperfections of your brain, because you've already made certain impressions. ये अभी हुआ है तो ये ऐसे ही होगा, and we extrapolate. अगले last 2 साल में ये हुआ था, अभी वापस ऐसे होगा. These two imperfections will make a very deadly cocktail, which is something which is well destructive, not well creative in the long run, right? So let me give you an example. Let me first give you an example of action bias. What do I mean by action bias? Action bias मतलब कुछ तो करूँ, कुछ लेना चाहिए, कुछ बेचना चाहिए, कुछ अगर मैं हाथ नहीं चलाऊंगा, फोन नहीं घुमाऊंगा, ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं करूंगा तो मेरा कुछ नहीं होगा, which is what people think. So let me just tell you what is in very simple words, what do you mean by action bias? So you see this image in front of you, right? What is this? It's a goalkeeper. गोल के आगे खड़ा है, एक पेनल्टी शॉट है, लेट्स अज्यूम. नाउ आई टेल यू हाउ दिस एक्चुअली. सो गोलकीपर क्या करता है पेनल्टी के शॉट में, ही हैज टू ट्राई टू सेव द गोल फ्रॉम द स्ट्राइकर हु वाज शूटिंग टुवर्ड्स द गोल. पर होता क्या है, ज़्यादातर टाइम्स यू सीन द गोल हो जाता है बिकॉज इट्स अ बिग गोल. कीपर देखना है, ही कैन ओनली मेक अ गैस एंड अल्टीमेटली मोर ऑफन देन नॉट गोल इज स्कोर्ड. So statistics show 40% of the times the ball is hit right in the middle. Either he has to just move to the right or to the left. Barely move, matlab, one jump or one hand extended. But only 6% of the times the goalkeeper is actually still. This is what stats show all across in all the top leagues of football in the world. ऐसे क्यों होता है? अगर 40 ये डेटा मेरे पास नहीं है, उनके पास भी है. इनके तो कोचेज हैव एवरीथिंग, ऑल द स्टैटिस्टिक्स डेटा ऑफ एवरीथिंग दैट दे need to do to prepare for a match. If 40% time, which is almost half, right? So you know that the ball is coming towards you. You just don't have to do anything. You just have to take a call and move from right or left from your own spot and not make a big leap. So the problem is, think about the goalkeeper. Now you put yourself in the keeper's. He also knows these statistics. उसको पता है कि ये शायद मैं खड़ा रहूँगा तो बॉल मेरे पास आएगा, बट अगर मैं खड़ा रहा फिर भी गोल गया तो पूरी दुनिया विल गिव हिम गाली. तुमने कुछ नहीं किया, तुम तो खड़े थे, मतलब तुमने एफर्ट भी नहीं डाली, राइट? ऑल द फिंगर्स आर पॉइंटिंग टुवर्ड्स हिम एंड ही लूजेस. आई मीन ही इज बेयरिंग द ब्रंट ऑफ एवरीबॉडीज फ्रस्ट्रेशन. बट इफ ही जम्प्स एंड द गोल स्टिल गोज, मेहनत तो की, कुछ नहीं, ट्राई तो किया, हो जाएगा, चलो नेक्स्ट टाइम कर लेंगे. ही इज ऑफ. He's off the hook, right? Nobody says anything. He's not not attached to any blame. It's this exactly what happens in finance. 98% of the times, all you have to do in the world of investing is do nothing. You just have to sit. Because people forget what are they putting money in. You're investing in a business ultimately. Business koi overnight every quarter cannot do jadoo. All the largest companies of the world have taken many years and many years of struggle to reach where they are. But you want instant gratification, right? The promoters of the company are attached to it for 20 years and 30 years. So funny thing is, in the stock markets in India, even today, the largest wealth is still created by the promoters of India. There are great investors, of course, but on volume terms, it's only the promoters who have made money because nobody's held till so long. Because बहुत सारे reasons आते हैं बीच में, ना, war आता है, elections आता है, ये भी आता है, वो भी आता है, मोदी जी आएंगे, मोदी जी नहीं आएंगे, ऐसा होगा, वैसा होगा. We try to find reasons to justify our need to take action, and India actually runs despite the government, not because of the government, right? And that is what history has also shown. Over the last 37 years, see the record of the stock markets, right? If you did nothing and just bought the index, still made money, tremendous amount of money. So, which is why here is the reality, right? Your return, the stock returns or the index returns are never investor returns because we just never have the bandwidth or the patience to wait it through. Ek bhanak of problem and one bhanak of something going wrong, and we are all rushing through the exit door, which is unfortunately the reality of life. So this is what it is. So this is what I wanted to show you what action bias is.
Rushil, time is running out. I know it's 20 minutes is very short to make money because we struggle entire life actually. But then still, I think you can finish in summarize in next few minutes. Then a lot of interesting we can cover it in the.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. So I have 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, so, and recency bias, I told you short-term memory, right? FOMO, उसने ले लिया, मेरा बाजू वाला कमा गया, मैं रह गया, तो मैं भी डाल देता हूँ. अभी तो ये बहुत चल रहा है, because markets are at a high, so you'll see much more of it. I'm sure most of you have experienced this. बिना सोचे समझे वो कमा गया, मैं रह गया, तो मैं डाल दूँ. Again, recipe for destruction. This is the ultimate truth. The only two emotions which are ever true are greed and fear. No matter what it is, history always rhymes. It does not repeat necessarily, but it will always rhyme. और यही दो चीज़ drive the entire investor experience at the end of the day, right? And सब लोग extreme ले लेते हैं. अरे अभी बहुत मंदी आने वाली है, अभी बहुत तेजी होने वाली है. बस बीच में, अरे but 90% of the times you're always in the middle. There is never an extreme in our lives, right? Why are we swinging to extremes? So I'll show you how, people or conditions around us make us take extreme views, right? So again, sorry, I'll have to switch back to this. I'm just going to scroll. आपको सब पता चल जाएगा. मेरे को कुछ बोलने की इसमें ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. These are all the headlines from the top newspapers or websites. And look at the date. This is just about when COVID, the first wave came in and हमारा पहला lockdown announce हुआ था. So पूरा तबाही का scene हो गया है. So if you remember those days, this is not very long ago, three and a half odd years back. Lockdown started हुआ, market started melting, migrant worker problem, job losses, US economy shrinking, and you see everything is negative. ऐसा लगेगा कि बंद ही हो गया, मतलब everything is shut. And which is true because we had no idea. This was the biggest humanitarian crisis we've seen in the last 30 years or so, right? 60% business closures, everything, right? Market fell 37% in 10 days. It was a record fall. Now, see what happens. ये डेट देखो 25 तारीख 2020 Morgan Stanley, which is one of the most renowned investment bankers, cuts target to 32,000. और ये क्या होता है नवंबर में सीधा 50,000. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है 5 महीने में पूरा उल्टा. Remember my first slide, prices drive narratives. It is just that. न्यूज़ पढ़ता कौन है, हम लोग पढ़ते हैं ना, तो हम लोग कंज्यूम करेंगे, हम लोग बातें करेंगे, तो छापेंगे, उनको क्या है. Everybody has a motive, everybody has an incentive to work towards, right? All of us, this is nobody's exception to this. So किस्मत की हवा कैसे change हो जाती है, you know, and कुछ ऐसे बदला नहीं था by November, right? We just came out of the lockdown, things started just opening up a little bit, but we are still under restrictions. But despite this, everything, and then suddenly see all the headlines, how they just change. This is all during around November and then Diwali after the first lockdown was over. Record inflow, then historic rise in the US GDP, and PLI got announced, auto sales recovery, the largest capex was announced, etc. Housing numbers, सब कुछ अच्छा. इससे आपको लगेगा कि ऐसे 6 महीने में ऐसे न्यूज़ कैसे पोलराइज इतनी चेंज हो जाती है. But this is how it is. This is the reality that we live in. So the honest answer when people ask, at least me, right, market क्या लगता है अभी डालूं, नहीं पता. That's the honest answer. There is no way I know anything. Too many moving parts, too many conditions, too many things beyond our control. All you can do is time and just hope, you know, that things will do well. But this is the golden truth, I think. It's never as bad as it looks, and it's never as good as it seems. You always try to find a balance in between. That's what it is. Let me just skip this because in interest of time. Now simple, now because I've told you about a couple of biases. Can anyone give this answer? Early disclaimer, I was wrong, by the way. Even I went wrong in this, so there is no shame in trying at least. A financial guy is going wrong in numbers, so you have nothing to worry. Let's assume these are funds in the same category, for the argument's sake. This is year-wise return. कौन सा सबसे अच्छा है आपके हिसाब से? Or where will you invest your money in? Fourth? इसमें बीच में minus है. I don't know if the guys at the end can see. There are a couple of minuses also. 3. So a couple of people here I heard Dr. Saab said fund 3. I heard a lot of fund 4s over there. Majority were 4s. 4 just anybody for anybody else? Any other option? No? Okay. 1? I'm saying 1. Okay. ठीक है. So the answer is all are the same. 10% ये सबका answer. But yours is जिसने भी 4 बोला ना, this is where recency bias came, right? I just spoke about recency bias. आपको लगा कि steady return है तो सबसे अच्छा होगा, ऐसा नहीं है. These are also good, but the journey is very different, right? Look at the journey, how this is going. So assume there are 4 friends investing in 4 funds. हाँ, वो तो है. So I'll tell you how, in reality, what happens, right? There will be 4 guys. Let's assume they are batchmates. 1, 2 are very savvy. They think, you know, they'll definitely कुछ करना ही चाहिए. You have to buy out of the box, तो ही पैसा बनेगा. उसको 35% मिला पहले साल में, दूसरे साल में. 2, 3 और 4 वाले को लगेगा अरे मैं तो रह गया, अरे इसने तो कितना कमा लिया, मेरा तो नीचे चला गया, खराब हो गया मेरा फंड. वो क्या करते हैं, इधर से निकाल के उसमें डाल देते हैं, फिर इनको सीधा -50 पे हो जाता है. सो दिस इज वेयर अनफॉर्चुनेटली इन आवर फील्ड ऑफ वर्क 2 ही लोग आते हैं, जिसके पास पैसा है और जिसके पास एक्सपीरियंस है, राइट? सो वी क्लेम दैट वी हैव द एक्सपीरियंस. सो पैसे वाले लोग आते हैं और इनवेरिएबली क्या हो जाता है, एक्सपीरियंस वाले को पैसा मिल जाता है, पैसे वाले को एक्सपीरियंस मिल जाता है. दैट इज द सैड ट्रूथ ऑफ लाइफ दैट पीपल हैव. But unfortunately, this is exactly what you should not do. But if you play this in real life, people switch when they think somebody else is doing better, mine is bad, I should move. That is exactly what you should not do at that point of time. And this is how things work out, because at the end, everybody is on the same level playing platform. But but the journey is very, very different. So you have to just make sure that you stick to your guns. You know, pick your right strategy and stick to that strategy. That's it. Just to quickly conclude, I think this is a little more relevant in today's world. when I ask a lot of people, I have time, I can research, I can do online, I have all the resources. Now, जब भी पूछता हूँ तो I realize they are more on WhatsApp groups rather than reading anything, right? And WhatsApp is not a mode of knowledge, but WhatsApp is just a mode of communication, which, and people in our own family, in my own industry, I've seen they are on 15, 16 stock market groups. ये ले लो, वो ले लो, short term, candlestick, ये, वो, whatever it is. But when I ask them, how many annual reports have you read? चलो आपको करना है ना investing? Go for it. I mean, everybody should have a shot at it. How many annual reports have you read? 0. How many balance sheets you've gone through? 0. So this is not something just because you can buy and sell in a second that its life is very easy and you can make money, which it seems right now because in the last 3 months everybody's made tremendous money and last 3 years particularly have been good. But when things go haywire and things go bad, I've seen the worst of people come out at that point of time, right? And this is where your knowledge actually comes to your saving. हम बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं, वॉरेन बुफे का नाम लेते हैं, but these are the guys who actually show their mettle in the worst times. So simple thing is read more and hearsay less, right? Hearsay is मतलब WhatsApp पे तो सिर्फ it's only your stock tips and quick money making options which are there. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, but keep reading. There is no end to how much you can read, and it doesn't mean you read only about stock market. You can read about anything. History, geopolitics, it could be macroeconomics. There's so many things which can give you great ideas where to invest in. So I think less WhatsApp and more hopefully annual reports or at least better quality blogs or whatever it is. Right? And I think...
Yeah, you will have to summarize because
sure,
your passion is showing so much that we will all feel that FOMO effect that only you are investing, we haven't invested. I think you will have to...
Sure, sorry. So we'll wrap it up. I mean, I feel please don't go by short-term events and elections and ye and wo and paisa kam hai zyada. I look at India from a decadal point of view. I have an entire 2-page list of certain stats which I wanted to ideally show. But I mean, India, we are very privileged that we are in a fast-growing economy, probably in the fastest 2-3 in the world now. Very stable government, great demographics, the youngest population, working population at our disposal. In the developing zone, and whether it's the BJP government, Modi government or whatever it is, we just have natural demographics. We just need somebody out there to just not make any bad decisions. Let's put it that way, right? And at least add fuel to fire. Baki kuch karne ki zarurat nahi hai. There are tremendous entrepreneurs which are there in the country, amazing sunrise sectors which are there in our own industry. Look at your own sector, for example, healthcare, pharma, diagnostics. So much potential out there which you can explore. So think about a decade rather than anything else and just invest for the long bit. And yeah, sorry. And hopefully you'll try and catch something post this session. Feel free to walk to me if you have any questions, thoughts.
Yeah, you are part of that special group with people will come and ask you. We have Meet the Professor session. You are the professor for finance.
So.
Meet the professors.
Anyway.